Hey everybody, this is Brenda Devine from Purpose 8 Institute, and you're listening to my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose, where we discuss the importance of purpose in our everyday lives. Discovering and living out your purpose keeps you focused on God's purpose. That is sharing the good news of salvation with others. This podcast is for people like me, still searching for the answers to who am I and why am I here? You and I were designed and created by God for purpose, and we have much to do. You can listen and subscribe to my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose with Brenda Devine on Anchor and all other podcast platforms. Hi, this is Brenda Devine from Purpose 8 Institute. Thank you once again for joining me for another episode of my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose. So today's topic is pressing faith. So I like to listen to Bishop T.D. Jakes' messages. It seems as on my journey of purpose when I need some water and poured into my spirit, I can listen to him and he fills me and gives me a perspective of things that I may have not considered or makes me examine things that I have not even thought of. One of his messages a couple of months ago was about the Canannite woman who daughter was ill, who was dying, and met Jesus on his way, on his travels, and begged him to help her with her daughter to save her. And all the other disciples were not listening to her because she was persistent. She was pressing to get to Jesus to save her daughter. And Jesus kind of put her off, like, I'm not here for you. I'm here for the children of Israel, not for the Gentiles. And the woman was a Gentile, as a Canaanite, and I'm not here for you. And rather than her shying back or getting mad or throwing insults or crying or throwing herself on the ground, she was strategic in her faith. She was resilient, and she was resilient in a humble way. She realized that she was a Gentile, and she realized that she was, and I think from what I recall, Jesus called her a dog. And when we read that, we take it out of context. Actually, the reference is to dogs who sit at the master's table, sit on the master's lap, who eat the crumbs. And she could have taken that whole different way and been mad. But she was strategic with her response and her faith, and in being humble and saying that even the dogs at the master table, they get the crumbs. And she was willing to take the crumbs of what he had to save her daughter. And she knew that she didn't deserve to be at the table, but she was grateful for the crumbs. And because she was humble, and because she was faithful, and because she pressed upon and responded to God in his sovereignty, and realized that she was nothing and that he was everything, she asked him to save her daughter, and he did. And what I really enjoyed and learned about the lesson of the Canaanite woman is that she was humble, but she was also faithful. And she knew what she knew. And she knew God was God. She knew Jesus was God. She knew that he had the power, that he wasn't just someone that was just walking around, traveling, that he had what she needed for her daughter. And she was faithful, and she knew that he could do that to save her daughter, but she also knew that she didn't deserve it. And so she pressed all her way to get there, walking. And then she pressed when she was close to God. And I think about how we get into moments and we think our situations, and we think we know what we know. We think we know what the Bible says. We think we have an understanding of it. But really it gets down to the base part of it is we don't really deserve anything. It is by God's grace that he gives us what we have. And even like the Canannite woman said, I'll take the crumbs. I know the crumbs are more than what I deserve. I know the crumbs will give me everything that I need. I know just getting the crumbs will fill me up. Being humble has got to be the biggest and the best lesson that I've ever learned. That I was nothing, that I was no one, that I didn't deserve anything, that if someone hurt me, who am I to not be oppressed? Job was oppressed. People for thousands and thousands and thousands of years have been oppressed. Who am I not to be oppressed? Who am I not to be hurt? Who am I not to be wounded? Who am I not to have to press? To realize that I am no one, I am nothing. But then again, to God, I'm everything. Because he gave the Canaanite woman what she asked for. He gave her those crumbs. And she took those crumbs and she was filled. And she took the message, her journey, her testimony, and she shared it with others. And who knows how much that impacted where and who she talked to. Even now, she's in the Bible. She has no name in the Bible, but we know her story, that she pressed. Her faith pressed. She wasn't schooled on it. She wasn't raised in it. But she knew it. Spirit to spirit. She knew it. And sometimes we can get really distracted by our emotions. We can get distracted by our hurts. We can get distracted by the good things. We can get distracted by the blessings. We can get distracted easily by so many things. Some of which, if we put some thought into it, has to do with pride. Insecurity is another form of pride. You actually are saying, God, I don't believe what you say that I am. I say that I'm this, while you say that I'm that. So it's easy for us to get distracted. It's easy for us to get distracted in the bad things and during the good times and the bad times and all the other stuff that goes around. But we have to always, like the Canaanite woman, to be humble ourselves, and recognize the sovereignty of who we're talking to. Who has made it possible for us to live? Who has made it possible for the gift of salvation? Because without any of that grace, we would be nothing. We would have nothing. Not anything. We wouldn't even want to be ourselves. What good would it be to be something that we are not? So, the lesson in the Canaanite woman is to press in our faith, but not just press in faith in what we think we know and what we read and what we learn, but press in our humility, press in being humble, press in realizing who is God and who is not, press in knowing that we don't deserve anything. Whatever we get, whatever opportunities and resources, connections, blessings, we don't deserve it. God gives it the way He chooses to give it, to whom He chooses to give it to, in the capacities and measurements that He chooses. So we have to be humble. It's really the essence, the humble, and knowing our position, which is to serve, which is to be obedient, which is to walk without understanding, to press. So I'm going to leave that with you to marinate on. I'm going to marinate on it some more myself, because I thought it was a powerful message. And actually, I forgot to mention that after Bishop T.D. Jakes' message on the Canaanite woman, I went and read up about it through Matthew Henry's complete commentary. I suggest that if you want to get a deeper understanding of the Canaanite woman and the perspective of pressing faith, that you read that as well. This is Brenda Devine from Purpose 8 Institute. I'm going to talk to you a little bit. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me on my podcast, Living a Life of Purpose, on Anchor and all other major podcast platforms. To learn more about Purpose 8 Institute and our ministry of sharing the importance of purpose, please visit our website, www.purpose8institute.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even TikTok. If you would like to learn more about purpose beyond this podcast, Living a Life of Purpose, you can also purchase one of my books that are available on my website, purpose8institute.com, and also on Amazon.